Ariel Helwani in Denver for UFC 150 alongside Melvin Guillard, who meets Donald Cowboy Cerrone this Saturday night live on pay-per-view. And Melvin, it is good to see you again. It hasn't been too long since we last saw you. Do you like these quick turnarounds? Would you prefer doing that as opposed to waiting a long time to fight again?
Hell yeah, I wish I could fight every week. You know, fighting back to back for me is a normal thing. You know, I've done it my whole career, 17 years of fighting. Up until I got in the UFC was when things slowed down. But for me, you know, the more you fight, I think it's better for your training. It's a better training aspect than training for 6 months, and then some guys are good in the gym, great in the gym, and then they don't show up to fight. You know, my whole life I've always used the competition of actually putting my reputation on the line as part of my training. So it definitely comes normal for me. This is actually a normal thing.
Donald dropped a fascinating nugget on the conference call last week when he said that he's been training in Vail, partially to get acclimated to the high elevation here, but also because he didn't want you to think that he was getting secrets from Greg Jackson, your former trainer in Albuquerque. Were you surprised when you heard that?
I was very surprised. You know, that's why you can learn to respect a guy like that. Not that I wanted him not to train with Greg. You know, Greg is his coach now, and he's no longer mine. But I do have a personal attachment to those guys away from the fighting. But even if, you know, Greg did give him information about me, I'm still not the same fighter. You know, I've definitely evolved and changed certain things in my game since then. And I'm expecting the same thing out of Donald. I'm not expecting the same fighter when we were sparring partners. So, you know, sometimes you can't turn a blind eye to things like that. And I think that was kind of the situation in the John Jones and Rashad incident. You know, I think Rashad kind of felt John was the same fighter and didn't take into notice that, you know, people change over time. So a lot of that really played into my mindset for this fight. I didn't want to think that Donald would be the same guy. I know he's a different fighter.
That said, Greg will be in his corner on Saturday night. Do you think that gives him any kind of advantage? Because while you say you're a different fighter, at the end of the day, you're still Melvin Guillard. I'm sure he knows a little bit about you, right?
Of course. I mean, we both still know certain things about each other. But I think the plus side of this fight for me and how I'm looking at it is I get my coaches that are my present coaches and my former coaches all at the same time. So it's like I get to go in there and fight for Greg as well. You know, he still has a special place in my heart as a not just a coach, but as an individual. You know, this guy helped me through a lot of personal things in my life. He's definitely one of the reasons why I guess I matured overnight. You know, he's been a big asset to my life. So it's kind of rewarding. I get to go in there and fight for both sets of coaches. And, you know, it's kind of like when I wrestled in high school, you know, you want to go in and do your best for your coach no matter what. You want to just get your hand raised. Well, that's kind of the feeling I have going into this fight Saturday.
Did you and Donald used to spar together while you were a member of Jackson's? And if so, who got the better of who?
You know, yeah, we sparred all the time, you know, and we got the better of each other, you know what I mean? You know, people don't understand when you spar, you're not in there to hurt each other, you're in there to work. I'm a vicious person in the ring, you know what I mean? I want to hurt my opponent. I want to get him out of there as quick as possible. So sparring and fighting, you can't compare the two. You know what I mean? I mean, it's very simple. You know, you don't go to the gym. You don't get paid in the gym to hurt your opponents, your teammates. You get paid to hurt your opponents on fight night.
Speaking of your current coaching staff, you also said on the conference call last week you were very unhappy with Mike Van Arsdale, and you're happy that he left the team. You're very happy with Mario Sperry now being the head coach of the Black Zillions. Why were you so unhappy with Mike?
Well, I just wanted to clear this up, you know, because I think the interview kind of twisted a little bit of how I felt at the time. Coach Van Arsdale is a great individual, very good person. He always made us smile. As a coach, you know, he tried being more of your friend than your coach, and it's hard for guys to respect a guy when they come off as your friend, you know. None of my coaches in the past have ever been my friend. They've always been my coach. They've always been tough on me, and you know, you find to respect guys a little bit more, and that's why I have the big respect I have for Dr. Tripp, my judo coach. You know, very respectful guy, but he tells it like it is. He puts me in my place. Coach Van Arsdale, on the other hand, you know, you kind of can get over on him a little bit, and that's why things I think didn't work out as far as team-wise. But as an individual, as a person, he's a great guy, great wrestling coach, and he did bring some certain things to the team that were able to help a lot of us as far as the wrestling goes.
You've been saying that you're now using the Dutch style of kickboxing as opposed to your former style, perhaps a more traditional style moving in and out. What's the difference? For those that don't know what the difference is, explain it to us.
It's simple. Dutch kickboxing is better than American kickboxing. It's that simple.
That's it. But what's the difference in terms of the actual technique?
It's definitely a big difference in technique. It's like night and day, man. It's like I had to learn I had to learn kickboxing all over again just to learn the Dutch style. It's I can't really explain the two. You know, if you saw me do it, it'd be a little bit better to explain. But it's definitely a big difference, like night and day.
All right, and finally, a bit of a war of words brewing between Anthony Pettis and Donald Cerrone. Are you thinking that maybe Donald is looking past you on Saturday night?
No, I mean, I think the Pettis fight was probably originally the fight that was supposed to happen here in Denver. I think Pettis didn't take the fight, and probably a couple of other guys, and that's probably how I got the call. Because, I mean, you don't just get a turnaround fight like this in the UFC. Normally, they already have somebody already planned out to fight the guy. So I'm pretty sure some of the 55ers didn't step up to take the fight, and me and Donald pretty much the craziest two of the bunch to actually step up and actually take a fight. So I was available. I'm healthy from my last fight, and I just want to be there to let my homie get his hometown fight. You know, I hope he's not looking past me because it's not going to be an easy fight.
Thanks for the time, Melvin. Good luck.
Thank you.